Alright, welcome. It's me, Tin. I'm going to do a replay cast here for Knife Party versus Psistorm Probes. Division C West. This game took place yesterday, I believe. And I was unable to do any casting last night, so picking this one up today. We are first going to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Knife Party banned out Battlefield of Eternity and Braxis Holdout. And Psistorm Probes banned out Alterac Pass and Volskaya Foundry. Going into the stats of the storm information, it looks like the map was picked by Knife Party and Psistorm Probes got first pick in the draft. Psistorm Probes banned out Johanna, Alexstrasza, and Anduin. It's interesting that they banned Johanna when they had first pick, but apparently they had no intention of using her on this map and didn't want her in the game. On the other side, Knife Party banned out Diablo, Rhaegar, and Tassadar. And as for which heroes were actually picked up in the game, well, we're about to find out. On the blue side, we have Knife Party with War is Fun on Hanzo, Knives on ETC, Sabing on Azmodan, just making sure it's not Sobbing, it is Sabbing, Parabolic on Lucio, and Limebus on Dahaka. On the red side, we have Psistorm Probes with Cortezel on Stukov, GG of Lyra on Jaina, Gore on Varian, Obelisk on Jimmy, and Xenoender on Leoric. As far as talents go, Ace in the Hole, Low Blow, Lion's Maw, we have Scatter Arrow build, Lucio's building stacks with Party Mix, Azran went Gluttony, which is hitting heroes, so it's just the stacking Q as fast as you can by hitting enemy people on a small map. That makes sense to me. Block Party, deny some of that auto attack damage. Jaina went Lingering Chill, and Leoric still deciding. Just double checking. Perfect, sound is coming through. And the teams are just, poking each other mid, gathering some gems. Leoric did get that first wave done before anyone rotated down. ETC slides in just to catch that last experience before it disappears or becomes less. Meanwhile, Psistorm rotating a little bit faster. Some experience up here was denied by the lack of rotation on Knife Party's side. Camps have have all three of them spawned. And Knife Party's coming down for a gank onto the Leoric. He sees the slide coming and Wraith walks right through it, so that was very well done. If he doesn't get that Wraith walk, he's probably dead. With all the members -1 down here. Meanwhile, Dahaka also getting ganked. Has the pops the essence just before getting silenced, and that's enough to keep him alive. So both offlaners being attacked, but both of them also escaping. Meanwhile, ganking the offlane did mean that the camp was there for the taking. Psistorm Probes gets a little bit of wall value, but Knife Party gets camp value. Tongue comes in onto the Leoric. The Azmodan laser is there, but not quite enough to finish the job. And the final dunk from Azmodan does not connect. So Leoric stays alive. Azmodan rotates up. And these teams just continue soaking, looking for that level 4. Big charge onto Knives, but the taunt hadn't quite come in yet. And there's no lockdown on him. So he just casually walks out. Casual cow. With 4s, we do have taunt. It wasn't a surprise Colossus Smash. Leoric did eventually pick Ocean Renewal. Now he's holding his level 4. Trying to keep things mystery. Leoric doesn't want to give up his secrets. There's a big taunt onto Lucio. The silence follow-up is there, but oh, there it is. The damage does come through in the end. Almost got away, but Jimmy has some long range and blows him to pieces. So that's first blood for Psistorm probes. Once 10 comes in, Lucio will likely have high 5 to cancel out those taunts. But if he's the one taunted, there's not much he can do about it. So good to focus him first, as Psistorm probes just did. Neither team focusing on their camps. They're still collecting gems and gathering that experience. Don't want to spend too much time out of lane, it looks like. With all these ganks, it's a little risky to leave someone behind. As I say that, finally the knife party does go to their camp, Azmodan and Lucio. A little bit of counter synergy with the boop, but that's I call it the ETC special when someone knocks someone out of the way, because ETC is famous for it. Haven't seen any of that so far, but we'll see if he negatively synergizes with his team, or this is coordinated, so you don't expect to see it. I just play a lot of ARM. 7s come in for Psistorm, but the camp comes in for Knife Party, and there'll be 7s soon. Meanwhile, while their camp is pushing, Psistorm probes decides to take their own camp. Varian tries to buy time for the minions to get past the wall so that the camp doesn't actually damage structures, but as they are kind of in the gate, the minions haven't targeted them yet. I don't know if these... I know a lot about this game. I don't know if the minions actually retarget, because the knights do seem to be on the wall, but maybe it's just because the minions didn't quite take enough steps out of the gate to get picked up. But that was a little bit more damage to the wall than I expected with the minion wave right there. Meanwhile, Knife Party's minions did come out of the wall, and so this clear is not doing too much more than they already had. There are various members here from Psistorm probes to push in with this, but they don't want to step up too far, don't want to get slid on by the ETC. There is a lot of potential damage there. Off lane, gank comes into the Leoric. He does Wraith Walk out. The tongue drag was slightly too far, so Olambas didn't actually go for it. If he had been a little bit closer, he might have been able to get that drag and get that kill after the Wraith Walk. Meanwhile, ETC gets taunted up top and silenced, but there's no follow-up. And Varian is the one who gets pulled into towers. He parries those shots. Takes about half of his life, but wasn't in any actual danger. Even with 5 members of Knife Party, they were focusing on the camp. They got it. Meanwhile, someone, it might have been Jaina, might have been someone else, did turn in for Psistorm probes, and the objectives coming in. Hello, Valera. Welcome. Hopefully I do your team justice. As Xenoender does get tongue dragged and Azmodan lasered and dunked on, but he just walks out of that. Meanwhile, a big fight coming up top. Hanzo does jump over the wall to safety as the top lane is cleaned up. Wall is down, top and mid. Bottom got cleaned up without too much damage, but the mid is still fairly healthy. As 10s come in for Psistorm probes, the defense has to be very safe. Knives rotating a little dangerously, but doesn't quite come in range of Varian as he's way up here. The charge comes in, but the knockback from ETC is good for Peel, and it looks like this one fort is going to go down to the Hyperion, which Hyperion, Ring of Frost, Entomb, Massive Shove, and Shield Wall. So pretty standard. Jaina, the only one that I see go both ways sometimes. It's not going to be Water Elemental. On the other side, we do have Dragon Strike, not Dragon Arrow. Oh, big taunt onto ETC. No silence follow-up. Hanzo arrow for Peel, but the Mosh comes in. Unfortunately, his team kind of separated out. Ring of Frost is good, however, and Lucio just gets done in, murdered very quickly. The chase is on. Jaina does have those long-lasting slows. The Entomb, just to confirm, and Azmodan goes down as well. So that's 2 kills just for some heroics. And turn-ins are available. Boss is available. It looks like Psistorm probes might be going for both boss and turn-in. Going back to what I was saying, Dragon Strike, not Dragon Arrow. High Five, Tide of Sin for those big dunks, Isolation, and Mosh Pit. But in the meantime, while Psistorm Probes was taking boss, and this is now showing, the turn-in was there for the blue team. What's the names? Knife Party did rotate up to near the boss, but didn't actually decide to commit to engage into it. They're just going to clear it up. Unfortunate stun there for Hanzo. He does get cleansed. The silence was there. Lucio barely escapes that entomb in the back as the fort probably, I think, was focusing him with the Hanzo damage. Leoric goes down. Top fort does expire in this time as the boss pushes through with the team. Meanwhile, mid wall went down, took damage, and did bottom as Dahaka was pushing in with it. Fortunate for Dahaka, that shove didn't push him too far forward. Good aim on the silence from the Stukov. Dahaka gets the bush speed, slowed down by Raynor, but the charge isn't there. The escape is real. It is Dahaka, he is a bit slippery. As the rest of Knife Party pushes in mid, Valera just finishes off that spider bottom. And the objective is over, but both teams do have another turn-in. It's just a matter of who can control the points for longer, or if a team decides to take their camps instead of fighting over the points. Knife Party is in position, but Psistorm is right here. And it's going to take a little bit more than that to get a turn-in. 13's here for Psistorm Probes, as Valera does get the Valera. It is Valera, but Jaina was what I was trying to say. Gets the turn-in bottom. Jaina is not the rogue hero named Valera. It is played by a player named Valera. Big stun from ETC, but the follow-up isn't there. Super dangerous to go in on that. 13's here for both teams. ETC did go encore for more mosh pits. The charge comes in, but the knockback does prevent a taunt if he was going for it. Dragon Strike comes through, just does a little bit of damage, but that's just going to get healed right up. Doesn't do any damage to minions or the objective, so Spider's still fairly healthy. Azranan does get his 200 stacks from that dunk. ETC's taunted and entombed, knocks back, slides into the Ring of Frost, nowhere to go with that entomb, and goes down. But Tongue Drag as the gate comes down, and Varian gets fairly low, but so does Dahaka. Spider's just about cleaned up here. The big dunk from Asmo does finish off the minions. Just a catapult left, not much to push with. Meanwhile, Azranan cleared up bottom. It had a long way to walk. It was already fairly low. And I'm sorry, mid. And bottom sort of expiring on its own. Will take the fort down, but not too much. A big taunt onto Asmo with the silence. That combo, very deadly. Nothing you can do personally to get out of it. You have to have your team help you. And the high five. If you're deep in the silence, Lucio will charge in, get silenced, and won't be able to high five you. So it is a counter, but it's not super reliable all the time. If the silence is there, you're kind of in trouble. Thanks a lot, Valera. I'll catch you later. The VOD will be up on YouTube and here, so there's lots of places to watch it with your team when it's convenient for you. Big charge, a big mosh pit. What's his name? Raynor, the only one not in the mosh pit, but so low, just gets taken out. But meanwhile, the damage wasn't there to kill the whole team in the mosh, as only Jaina goes down from the mosh. But chase is on. Varian drops his spell power banner. I don't think that's going to be enough, as he leads 5 members on a merry chase. Does buy some time for his team to respawn, but that's going to be time that he's not there with his team, as Knife Party does have a turn-in, and boss is up in 30. That's not going to be too interesting at the moment, but they can take any camps they want. The invade was good from Psistorm, but that 4-man mosh was very big. 16's here now for both teams. Knife Party looking at the boss pit, but can't do anything about it right now, so they go for the turn-in instead, giving enough time for Psistorm probes to pick up their camp. Just waiting for the spiders to fully spawn and move into lane. Knife Party goes to the top fort, gets some free push before Psistorm comes in for the defense. The more you push, the healthier your waves will be when they crash into more contested things. So, spiders getting close. Meanwhile, Leoric was clearing some waves bottom, just buying some time, as he does rotate up to join the team for the 5-man defense. Mid and bottom. Mid cleared up by the camp, and bottom so far out, it's going to take a while. So, big 5-man defense. Hyperion comes out. Tower goes down, and Knife Party does back off, not taking any chances here. They go and clear some waves, gather some more experience. A warding silence does prevent standing in the bush. Bottom already fairly low, just walking across the map. They Knife Party chooses to go mid and gank Jaina, who took a unfortunate rotation, standing a little too far forward when your team isn't there. ETC does sort of get trapped in the corner with the silence, just finally decides to just walk through it. Not much you can do to get out of there unless you took but it's not stage dive, it's crowd surfer, which he did not. Crowd surfer lets you slide over walls, which is a very fun way of using the ability. As Knife Party, with Jaina down for 8 more seconds, does have ETC trying to solo this boss. Probably just a bait. Good silence from Cortezel right on 3 members that he couldn't see. Tongue drag, a little too optimistic. Doesn't go quite that far, as these teams just poke at each other. Looks like the boss was just a bait that Psistorm didn't go for. Psistorm closer to 20s, but only by a little bit, and still a level and a half away. As the turn-in is available for Knife Party. War is Fun turns in his 4. They only need 3 more. That's Sabing's job right now, as the rest of the team wards. Looks like Psistorm isn't going to be contesting this. And another wave comes in for Knife Party. 20's still a while away, so won't quite have them for the beginning of this defense, as Knife Party does push in on these walls. Lyric does his thing and completely clears up the wave, making the spiders spawn, well, a little farther back. Oh, no, they're spawning all the way forward. The other way, the wave from Psistorm hadn't quite come up yet. Jaina doing some big damage to the spiders, but as we're doing some big damage to the wave, and a big long-range tongue drag does come onto Obelisk, and Raynor goes down. I didn't quite see that coming, but a good kill from Knife Party as the spider comes into the wall. It's just about dead, and there's no wave, so the last 2 spiders and then the demons from Asmo are their only tanking for the core, but Lucio had hit someone, and the core finishes him off. Jaina's a counter kill, but Knife Party without their healer now has to back off a little bit. Meanwhile, big wave mid and decent sized wave bottom. Looks like mid keep will go down. Cortezel wanted to step forward a bit for a bit more defense, but chooses to back off. Does push, I think it was ETC away, just to stay safe. Big taunt onto Limbus, the Dahaka, but he just pops his essence and burrows out. And is perfectly fine. Dahaka, notorious for being difficult to kill. But that push did take out bottom and middle forts. Both teams now at 20s. We have more Dragon Strikes. The Globe Quest is finished for Azoran, so Pride. Contagion for the Isolation, and Death Metal, so when you kill the ETC, your team is going to be stunned out. and House Party just for basically 40% more healing, or not quite 40, 32, 40, whatever, 30, yeah, 32 with 4 healing team members around. Ice Blink for Jaina, so if she does get caught out a little bit, she can come back. Execute orders for the Suicide Rainer, Buried Alive, Top Off, and Healing Banner, as well as cooldown reduction on the banner. Psistorm, cleaning up the boss, has turn in, but you don't want to use it while you're defending. You want to be able to use that offensively if you can. Meanwhile, did Lyric just lose 60 gems? He did. Ouch, that is a unfortunate gank that he did not want to take. They no longer have turn in, as Lyric had basically all of their gems. And it just sort of caught as the invasion for the camp comes in. And now the boss is on core, and the team's on core, and soon a camp will be on core as well. Only a 4-man defense. Rainer could run in and suicide a bit for some more defense numbers, but the core is already at 58. Big Ring of Frost doesn't connect. Taunt comes in onto ECC, he's cleansed by the Lucio. Rainer has to die for that execute orders to come in, and they're not going to focus him, they're going to focus core. Dahaka tanking a lot of damage, but the core is at 5, 3, 1, 0. That's game 1 going over to Knife Party. Put some stats up. Hanzo doing a bunch of damage with those scatter arrows and surviving the entire game. On the side of Psistorm, it looks like they just didn't have as much damage coming through from the heroes. Obviously, Azmodan can do a lot from range safely. Well, not as safe as Hanzo, apparently, but Jaina and Rainer both do a fair amount of damage, but they were pretty similar to their tank and healer. Healing was about the same. Experienced Soak was a bit divided, but it was close. So it was just a few picks and some more reliable damage seemed to make the difference. So that's going to be game number 1 as I load on into game number 2. It'll just take me a quick moment. Game number 2 is going to be played on Dragonshire. So if I can find the overlay, Dragonshire, and Psistorm Probes had their choice of first pick and map pick. I believe they chose first pick, which would make this Knife Party's map pick. So, quick stats of the storm. Psistorm Probes did ban out the Johanna again, and the Alexstrasza, and then they banned the Stukov. Meanwhile, Knife Party banned out Diablo again, Brightwing, and Varian. They didn't want to see that taunt again. And yeah, Psistorm Probes had first pick again and still banned the Johanna themselves. So they had a plan that didn't involve Joe. And we'll have to see if they can execute that. They had the Varian with the Stukov last time and they banned out the Stukov. So apparently not going for that taunt pick comp. And we'll have to see how all that plans out. So just making sure we're in the right stuff. Perfect. Okay, we're going to start on the right side this time. In the red corner, we have Psistorm Probes with Obelisk on Thrall, Gore on Muradin, Valera on, is that Vala? Cortezel on Rhaegar, and Xeno Ender on Dahaka. Dahaka changing sides. And in the blue corner, we have Knife Party with Olymbus on Rexar, Knives on May, War is Fun on Orphea, Sabing on Falstad, and Parabolic on Karazim. Karazim, not my favorite healer because I don't know how to play him. Well, I know how he works, I just can't seem to get any effect from him, so not my hero, but I've seen good Karazims. As all the sprays come out from Psistorm probes. We have Psistorm probes going in on the minions early. Muradin does jump out, doesn't want to get caught by anything. Give up any free damage if he doesn't have to. Stormbolt just shy of connecting, but you don't have to stack those anymore, so not a big deal. Meanwhile, top lane, Xeno Ender working against that Rexar, who does get a good stun. Bottom lane, it's going to be Valera versus 4 members of Knife Party, as these teams are rotating through the lanes. Muradin hiding in a bush, just covering the experience, as Knife Party picks up their giant camp. Orphea did go trait build, at least for now. Heat transfer, Bird of Prey for that swoop on minions. Iron Fists, so that's more damage and not cooldown or healing. So that's going to be an offensive Karazim. And Gathering Storm on the Falstad. Meanwhile, Totems, Dwarf Block, Tissue Regeneration, and its Q build Vala. We have a Crash Lightning Thrall. This map you do tend to fight a lot over the points, so there may be opportunities to sack that, as Knife Party does sneak a cheeky little boss. But in my experience, if you're not playing ARAM, Crash Lightning generally doesn't get finished. Maybe on some of the longer maps, like Tomb of the Spider can drag out, Volskaya can drag out. I guess if you have really good clear on the Dragon Knight, you can drag this map out too. But we'll have to see if Crash Lightning finds value, as currently he's sitting at 0 stacks. Parabolic going for the channel, as these teams are standing on the point trying to prevent the cap going over to Psistorm. But with Muradin there, you'd have to kill him to actually capture the dragon. So they fight hard over the points and keep them for a while, but they aren't able to turn that into a dragon, as these teams reset a little bit and heal up. Now it's both shrines look like they're going over to Psistorm, as Knives does step on the point to prevent that from happening. But Rexar is mid just in case. May pops the ice block. Gore getting very low, does have the dwarf toss out. The executing finishing damage isn't quite there, as Orphea tries to solo 2 people. Does stay alive, stay very healthy, but doesn't get any kills, doesn't capture the point, as Valera on that Vala is going up for the point. Parabolic does get the charge in, doing a ton of damage to Valera, but the Falstad gets stunned out and isn't able to finish that kill. As Muradin jumps onto the point, goes for the channel. May has a snowball, and the bottom shrine is recaptured. May with that spell armor healing up, but takes a Stormbolt immediately after it breaks. That is sort of the downfall of using it out in the open, but stays alive. 7's looming for both teams, and not a dragon in sight. Both shrines going over to Psistorm probes, but no one's in mid, and May is there to prevent the cap. Dahaka rotates down looking for it, as Rexar takes the top point, and the rest of Knife Party takes the giant knight camp. The knights are not quite so giant. Many members from Psistorm do rotate up on top of that May, who just goes behind the wall, and it's just fine. We did get Frost Shot, so none of these monster hunters for quick dragon kills. Psistorm looks like they're planning to get the dragon for themselves. I saw their team Psistorm members down there. I didn't see Orphea on the minimap. She was completely surrounded, so I missed that kill. My apologies. but I don't see a way that she's coming out of that alive. She did go insatiable for the chomp cooldown, so her Qs and her Ws, when she lands them, will both have a very short 2-second cooldown. So as long as she's landing skill shots, she can do a ton of damage. As Kharazim and Mei come in on this Muradin, Muradin doesn't win this fight, but he probably doesn't die without a lot of pressure. He can jump out whenever he feels a little dangerous. And with Orphea showing up, he leaves. Rexxar does do a lot in the top. He captures the shrine, does push in this wall entirely with that camp. But now Psistorm Probes has their own camp, and Rexxar does have to back off a little bit. Kharazim is mid, but so is Thrall. Not going to work over as Mei almost dies, does get the ice, but she's still in deep, and that last hit from Vala is enough to confirm that kill. Almost escapes, but not quite. Rexxar trying to push Dehaka off the point, but there's such a big wave he can't stay there forever, and he does have to clear this. Both altars channeled, and Thrall going for the dragon as Muradin dies bottom. So as long as Kharazim does stall this out, the shrine will convert back to blue. Valeera taking a ton of damage. The root misses. As tens come in, I'm just missing all the kills. Kharazim goes down to that Vala. One problem with this map, as a caster, there's too many places with action. As Rexxar is super low. But Falstad just poking in on the Rhaegar. Mei is in mid to prevent the cap. But Valeera and Muradin with their heroics have the potential for a lot of damage. Stormbolt comes through. Vala goes for the channel. The ice wall comes in. Is there follow-up on the ice wall? No. They're focusing on this Muradin. But with 3 members versus 3, the dragon won't be captured anytime soon. Meanwhile, we have a 1v1 bottom and a 1v1 top. I'm going to look at bottom first. Eternal Feast comes out on the Thrall. Thrall very low, pushed out. Dehaka just versus Rexxar, or Misha. Rexxar and Misha together are going to win that. But now it's a 2v1 bottom with Orphea, and Orphea is low on mana. So she's going to have to back out. She does chomp that totem, gets it out of here, but has to tap. Meanwhile, more members from Knife Party come down, but both shrines captured, they have to turn around, and Vala does get the channel. Finally, Dragon does convert, and it's for Psistorm Probes. So we did see that Eternal Feast, Ice Wall. We have Unleash the Boars, 7-sided strike. So very aggressive Kharazim and Mighty Gust. A charge from the dragon does get cancelled by the wall, so good job there. Meanwhile, bottom is not fighting too hard. And we have Sundering, Rain of Vengeance, Isolation, Avatar, and Bloodlust. Meanwhile, Thrall is only sitting at 3 stacks of Crash Lightning. He is not the off lane, but he's not getting the big team fights that he wants, as these fights are split over several lanes. Mei does get kicked almost over the wall, but not quite. Does have that slide and the ice block. Stays alive as the dragon is finished off. Sunder comes through, Rain of Vengeance comes through, Kharazim able to dash out, but he's very low as those Hungering Arrows are still ticking, but nobody dies. And that dragon got the wall, but not too much else. Top lane is sort of in favor of Knife Party, mid lane in favor of Psistorm, and bottom lane is equal. So Structure's health is about the same, but the extra 2 kills have given an experience lead, a talent lead for Psistorm Probes. As Orphea tries to defend this camp versus 5 members of Psistorm, she does get taken out. Not quite able to take on an entire team by herself. I know when I play Orphea, I feel like I can sometimes. But with her down and the rest of the team missing, Psistorm Probes does push in heavily onto this wall. Mei doing the best she can to keep HP on these structures, but there's giants, there's a team. Big Ice Wall does come through, but the pressure is still there, the 2 DPS not in it, and Mei goes down. Gust just to buy some time for this keep to defend itself. Seven-sided all goes on to Muradin. He takes a ton of damage, pops the Avatar, and he's just fine. Eternal Feast doesn't quite connect. And Orphea gets stunned out, rooted, nowhere to go. And there's the Bloodlust. Massive damage. And this push isn't over, with more giants coming in, and 2 kills. The Psistorm probes are taking everything they can. They are approaching 16 as well, as Knife Party is just getting 14, but with the members respawning, looks like Psistorm is going to back off and find value elsewhere on the map, as the boars come out for the chase, but the chase doesn't follow, just clearing up those camps. So, Tahaka coming in mid with both shrines channeled, maybe looking for a cheeky dragon, but Knife Party's not going to give it up quite that easy. Ice Wall does come through. Orphea does get some good hits, but the isolation makes it have to turn around. And Tahaka just healed himself right back up by pushing D. So fight sort of resets. There's the Sunder. Karazim does dash out. There's the Eternal Feast. This one's big. Big stuns. Misha taking a bunch of damage from that feast, but sorry, that's not Misha, that's Tahaka. But the regen is there. Big Blizzard doesn't quite stun anyone, but it slows down the team as Knives is caught on the other side, body blocked. And with her team low and backing off, she goes down. Orphea again getting some good hits, but it's not enough. Falstad did leave to capture the bottom shrine, and so his team was down a member during that fight. And Psistorm is recapturing the shrines, and Vala and Muradin and Thrall are all coming mid, as Parabolic does get stunned out of the 7-sided strike. Very telegraphed ability. Orphea alone versus 4 does what she can, but with that totem can't quite get out and goes down. But Falstad going top does prevent the dragon from being captured right away. But more members rotating up from Psistorm. They are just bleeding out as they're trying to prevent this from happening. Slowly staggering deaths. So when the dragon does come, and it will eventually come, they will have fewer members for the defense. So it's a bit of an unfortunate situation. You have to pick the way you're going to lose value, and in this case, maybe just cutting off the bleeding, letting them have the dragon, and having your members up for the defense might have been the option. They do lose mid-fort, but the team is there to push the dragon back and may not get too much more value. It's at 50%. Muradin going deep gets a Stormbolt, but his team's not there for the follow-up, but it does distract Knife Party, so the dragon does go bottom. That's where it could get its value. Does kick Rexar away. Misha forced to follow. It does have a leashed range, but comes back. Muradin dies just in the corner of your screen, but the dragon doing a ton of damage with these minions, with the catapults coming in to the bottom keep. But when it goes down, Thrall may be a little extended. He tries to back off. The Gust is there for the Rhaegar. Sunder comes through, but the Ice Wall still traps the Rhaegar. Blizzard's there. The charge gets him out, but Karazim's charge is enough to finish that kill. And Rhaegar does go down. That's a big counter kill for Knife Party, as they can go and take any camps they want on the map. Dahaka Brewer's top, just to get that lane position. Vala going low, but does take that camp before it can get invaded. So only going to invade the bottom siege camp. Possibly get bottom night camp as well, as there's still 28 seconds on the healer for Psistorm probes. And Rexar may be going for top camp, or just may be going for top clear. Looks like he's going to clear the wave. Doesn't want to lose any structure damage. And if you clear this and then take your camp, you can push with it. Looks like, I think the bottom camp may get bottom fort, as the focus seems to be up on top with Valyria and Muradin coming in. Rexar is all alone, so if this dive happens, he will have to rely on his own skill to escape, as the other members are showing in bottom lane. The jump comes in, feign death is there. It's a long time to be tanking these towers. The Meter stun comes through to peel himself, but he wanders forward away from the towers, and the stuns are there to take him down. Meanwhile, bottom is getting a really good push, so it was only 1 kill lost for a fort. Usually I call that a good trade. But with long death timers and 20s here for Psistorm, you definitely want your full team alive. The drag comes in onto Mei. She is isolated and sundered. Doesn't have a chance to pop the ice block. She's sundered into the fort and has nowhere to go. So that was dirty. Not just unfortunate, completely dirty. Falstad super low. Does get a bit of healing from the Kharazim as Orphea is now nowhere to go. Tries to solo the team but gets rooted. Nowhere to dash to. And Muradin does get that stun. Kind of running around like a beast. Kharazim just trying to escape with his life. There are minions there. He should be able to dash away. He's super slowed by everything. And rooted. I don't think he can dash to walls. Tries to juke, but under 4 members, well, there's a totem preventing you from moving. There's nothing to do. Bottom keep goes down. Vala is trying to take the core down. Only 3 members here, kind of a squishy 3 as well, but only Rexar for the defense, and they're just waiting for the dragon to come and end the game. Big blizzard and ice wall from Mei. Does get a 2-man stun. Unfortunately, the core with his stuns didn't choose to land them on the 2. So there's the follow-up from the core, which gets another blizzard stun. Transfer kills. Rhaegar doesn't go down. Thrall does, however. So 1 shaman. 50% off shaman sale. Shaman sale. My goodness. Twisting my own tongue. Mei trying to just do whatever she can, but by herself now. Against the dragon, there's not really too much chance. And let's get the score screen up. We do see Orphea doing a bunch of damage, but just kept getting too much CC. Orphea, if she can get her abilities off, can be very strong. But with the Muradin stuns and the Vala stuns and the Sunders and the Roots and the Isolations, just so many things can interrupt her abilities, and they all have a long wind-up. Meanwhile, Vala is stacking, able to play safe from range, doing a lot of damage. Talents-wise, we did see the sort of the full trait that I like to go for Orphea, but again, it's very weak to CC. And I'm just going to update the score really quick before I forget. Yeah, just couldn't quite get the value they were looking for. 20s did come in for Psistorm with the Acrobat, with the Q build, doing a ton of damage. Muradin to rewind for more stuns, just super nasty. And of course the Bloodlust didn't help Knife Party any. Going back to stats for just a moment, Kharazim did get 43,000, so it's less healing, as you'd expect from all the damage challenge he took. Just not able to quite keep his team alive. So, going back to the map screen, let's find out what's going on for game number 3. Quite often, when I do replay casts, a lot of the matches only go to game number 2, so it's nice that we get to have a game 3 in this instance. And it looks like we're going to Infernal Shrines. Where is it on the list? It's alphabetical. It shouldn't be that hard to find. And I believe this map was picked by Psistorm Probes, as Knife Party chose to go for first pick. Yes, they did. Just need to wait for the replay to load. And just giving you the bans from both teams. Knife Party banned out Diablo, Rhaegar, and Deathwing. And Psistorm Probes banned out Brightwing, Alexstrasza, and Johanna. Oh. Blizzard is giving me some bugs as I load. It should just be another moment. This says my version of the game is a region mismatch. Wow. I'm just making it difficult on myself. But just tell it to load again and it works just fine. Alright. So, game number 3, Infernal Shrines. Here we go.
Prepare yourselves.
On the blue corner, we have Knife Party with Knives on Blaze, Sabing on Azmodan, War is Fun on Hanzo, Olambas on Dahaka, and Parabolic on Lucio. I'm going to have to remember to ask Olambas how to pronounce their name, because I've had this problem before, and I don't know.
The battle begins in...
And in the red corner, we have Psistorm Probes with Xenoender on Ragnaros, Cortezel on Stukov, Gore on May, Obelisk on Kael'thas, as if he heard me showing off his Flame Strike, and Gigi Valera on Vala yet again. As we come into the mid lane brawl, we have Scattershot on Vala and on Hanzo. We have Low Blow on the Stukov. We have Shield Quest for Kael'thas, Meatballs for Ragnaros, and Blizzards for May. Big Drag comes onto the Ragnaros, but not a lot of follow-up damage. We do have Gluttony for Globes on Asmo, extra healing range for Lucio, Unstoppable eventually for Blaze, and enhanced agility for that race car build for Dahaka. Both teams just soaking lanes at this point. But nothing too exciting just yet. Camps spawned, and Psistorm goes straight to theirs. Meanwhile, Knife Party, finishing up the wave, also chooses to walk past their camp, but doesn't take it. It's started by Lucio, but with Psistorm's camp taken, there's an opportunity for an invade. It looks like they're not going to, as Ragnaros and Dahaka are looking at each other between lanes. It's a bit of an interesting rotation, but it looks like there's going to be a fight, so all the offlaners are rotating down. That's why they were there. And the camp is finishing up. Does May step onto this point? The drag comes in onto the Stukov. The Blaze follow-up is there. Big stuns. Gore does go onto the point, but slides off as he sees his team not being able to keep up the fight. Nobody dies. Knife Party does get their own camp, but there were a few tense moments there. Bottom camp still available. Top siege camps is about 215. So if your camp taking is a bit slow, this is when you want about to start those, to have them pushing at the same time as objective. But they are going in the same lane as objective. So I think the bottom camp is actually more of a priority, as it can push while you do the objective. So objective being announced right now at 2:30. It's always 2:30 when this map starts. So that's a advantage to Knife Party that Psistorm Probes is going to have to clear up before they can properly contest the objective, or they're going to take a bunch of damage. Both teams looking like they're choosing to fight in this bottom lane. 10 seconds until objective. It takes you about 15 seconds to cross the map, so both of these teams are going to be late. It's going to be interesting with the setups. Who's going to get value first? I'm not sure. May is staying below to clear. Not notorious for being the fastest clear, but Knife Party does have to clear this camp as well. So the first few minions go over to Psistorm Probes, but 2 of their heroes are not here, and 5 Knife Party heroes are. So the weaker heroes from Psistorm do sort of back out. They did get 18. Well, now they have 18 minions. So they are very much ahead, as it's a 5v5. So 7's out here for both teams. Just who's going to win this fight first, or my guess is actually more Psistorm Probes is just going to focus on minions, get those last 10 and back out. They don't need to win the fight, they just need to stall it out long enough. A big blizzard onto from Mei onto Lucio does stun him out. He has to back way up, as does everyone else, and Blaze doesn't quite get out fast enough and goes down. So they actually chose to win the fight instead of the minions, and they're going to get both. Hanzo trying to stack those scatter arrows. Blaze is halfway done his quest. That'll make a huge difference, but until then someone has to bait this over the wall. It's going to be Dahaka, gets the good tongue to get vision, and then the burrow to not die. Doesn't get stunned out, and even Vala noting that was a nice bait. It really was. Yeah, the timing was perfect. And that's what you want to see with Punishers. You want to get them over the wall so that the towers and the fort are damaging them. The fort reduces their armor, and you can clean them up, and the enemy team is stuck behind the wall, can't chase in. So they do lose the top wall, but that's it. Now they can take their camp, maybe? They're deciding. Psistorm Probes immediately goes to their mid camp. Dahaka trying to soak. 7s are here. Different build coming out of the Vala. Probably because of the shrines, trying to get those minion hits. With the arrow only hits one at a time, this will hit all of them, so faster shrine killer. The invasion does come in, as Hanzo is busy taking top camp. So trading their top camp for the bottom, but at this stage of the game, the top camp will get more value, most likely, especially with Dahaka pushing with it. But not if you don't clear out the minions. So there's a camp on either tower, and a lot of structure damage being taken. In the meantime, Psistorm Probes does take bottom camp, and the clear comes in. So all the Khazra camps going over to Psistorm Probes. Ragnaros does clean up the top camp without losing any structure damage, so that trade not quite as effective as Knife Party was maybe looking for. And heroics are here. Lava Wave comes in through mid, Rain of Vengeance, Massive Shove, Phoenix, and Ice Wall. So these are strong heroics that are going to do good work, but none of them are the kind of heroics that are going to blow up an entire team. Ice Wall can trap, and you can have a big follow-up from there, but the Phoenix is just sort of constant damage. Lava Wave is in a wave, you can see it coming. And the Rain of Vengeance is a short stun, so nothing too crazy, just sort of solid overall. On the other side, we have Bunker. Ice Wall doesn't catch anybody, and Lucio just walks through it. That was interesting. Isolation, High Five, Tide of Sin again, and Hanzo holding, not quite deciding quite yet. Teams take a quick break as the shrine is announced, and Kel'Thas starts his summoner camp. Bit of a fight mid, but I don't think either team is committing to this, even though Knife Party does have 5 versus 2 at the moment. Sword of 3, Stukov is near, but not quite near enough. He is completely alone. If Dahaka gets this tongue, nope, doesn't see the rest of the team, nobody's showing, doesn't go for it, but that would have been an easy kill for his team. All of them there, and Stukov completely alone. Dahaka does disconnect and walk back to base. There's a pause, and he's back. Makes him a little out of position. The ice wall is there, as is everything, but the bunker, perfectly timed. Valera almost goes down from the Dragon Strike. Lots of heroics being used, but going over an advantage of Knife Party. Big drag comes in onto Gore, but the silence to save their tank. As Azban gets a laser, does a ton of damage. I don't see Psistorm probes continuing this fight, although Ragnaros is doing a bunch, getting some value. Valera does dash out of that dunk, and the shove does save the Stukov, but the stun is there. Blaze is there with his armor, but he can't quite get out, and the last multi-shot with the living bomb is enough to confirm that kill. Finally, the Punisher does go over. The scatter arrow catches Valera on Vala. And it's 2 for 1. But Punisher goes over to Knife Party. I thought they were in a much more solid position, but the Ragnarok damage just kept coming out. And the Kael'thas and Vala poke did some good work. Meanwhile, the gate is down, but the DPS isn't really quite there to follow up on the jumps. And it looks like it's only going to get that wall. Meanwhile, the top camp did push all the way through the fort, as Sahaka drags it right up to the gate to make sure that the towers will kill it off. Knife Party taking their own camp, this time in mid, and Psistorm focusing on bot. Knife Party would have been there if Hanzo hadn't killed all the minions. Scatter arrow for scouting did finish that camp off. He has finished his scatter arrow quest. Blaze is not quite finished, so that unstoppable earlier was from the high five, not from his own. But he's only missing 1 health globe, so that should come in pretty soon. Meanwhile, Vala does not finish that quest. It goes on forever. Kael'thas does go on forever as well, but he got the shield from it. And Meatball's only missing 1, and then he can redirect. Lava Wave comes in through mid. Sorry, I'm just pouring some water, so I'm not going to move my camera for a second. As the action seems to be... Nope, I was going to say going towards the top camp, but Knife Party does take that without any contest. Psistorm was just pushing in mid-wave. Knives pops his armor, gets a big stun, but goes down in the meantime. And there's Ragnaros' quest. But no objective. Blaze will be up in time for the next one. Top camp gets cleared up with no contest as Psistorm approaches level 16s. A bit of a lull in the game. Gives me a chance to wet my whistle. Please don't ask me to whistle because I can't. Wave gets pushed in, cleaned up pretty quick. Blaze finally gets his unstoppable when he pops his trait. Pyromania, I know the name of it. It took me all game to remember, but I got there. Azmodan does proc the Kael'thas shield, but he's kind of alone against all the team crashing into this fort. Minions get cleaned up near instantly as the siege comes in a bit. Ice Wall doesn't connect the team playing back safely enough. And that is sort of the biggest fear. If they get caught in a big ice wall, they can get completely annihilated. But once that's on cooldown, they can play a lot more dangerously. But they are still half a level away from 16s, so they're down a talent tier. And they're just trying to soak up as much as they can before they have to fight. Azmodan is near his stacks, a little over 75% of the way there. They don't want to fight the other teams, so they're just going to go in mid and take down some towers, but there goes their whole wave. So not too much more push going to get out of this without actually tanking shots. Blaze does. And, of course, Azmodan using some of his minions to tank as well. The boombox, not quite close enough to tank any shots, would have taken 3 or 4 and saved Blaze some hits, but he seems to be just fine. As they go in on bottom fort. The minion wave is almost here. Azmodan drops a minion that's going to tank just long enough that the team's not going to take any more big damage, but they do take 2 forts in exchange for this Punisher. But the Punisher is pushing on to keep, and with no one there to defend, Psistorm does take down the wall instantly. So whoever tanks this, which should be Blaze, is going to be in a bit of danger. Blaze does have that unstoppable, but it's Hanzo first. He was the farthest away. He gets away with it. A little bit of a risky play, but isn't punished. But this keep is going to go down. There's nothing they can do to save it. Punisher is now at half. Jump comes in onto the Haka, who does get stunned, silenced, and ice walled. Big 2-man ice wall, big blizzard. That's what I was warning about. And with the silence underneath, those two front lines from Knife Party have no chance, nowhere to go. Kael'thas does land a stun onto Azmodan. Punisher follows up, but Azmodan barely able to escape. Does get into core, but with the catapult and the whole team on the core, this is going to have to be a big defense. Stukov goes down. May getting focused on, does get finished off. Valera dies. Catapult's down. Ragnaros just about finished off, and the whole team would have died if that core had a little more health. So the game does go over to Psistorm probes, but only barely. That was a lot closer than it looked, because even if the core is at 1% and they kill all 5 members, the bottom lane was opened up a little bit, so they had a chance to just walk down, bottom or mid, and possibly take the game. Not guaranteed. It was only level 18. So the death timers weren't quite as long as they would have been at like 2021, but 5 members dead all at once, the map is yours for the taking. So they do get the core about 1 second before getting wiped, so GG's to Psistorm probes on their 2-1 victory. And just looking at the talents a bit and the stats, healing just about the same again. Damage, Hanzo doing a ton that game, but on the side of Psistorm probes, it's more divided. You see Blaze doesn't have much, Jahaka and Lucio obviously not very much. It's mostly Hanzo and some Azmodan. For Psistorm probes, it's more divided with the Vala, Ragnaros, May, and Stukov both actually getting a fair amount themselves. And then Siege, obviously the lava wave gives Ragnaros an edge. Tiger doesn't believe that Knife Party would have ended the game. They were a bit low, but I have confidence and faith in these teams, especially with Azmodan can just tank the towers. You never know. As I said, the death timer is not quite as long. They're probably not going to end the game, but they could at least get a keep or something. Yeah, none of these builds look terribly crazy or spicy. Mostly what you'd expect. So that's going to be it. 2-1 GG's to Psistorm probes. Knife Party did take the first match and nearly made a defense on that last game, so it was pretty close. And good luck to them in their next match.